Shall I mute again now and?
If you feel like it, yeah. If you, yeah.
Oh yeah. So I mean, there will be a time when everybody will be muted. Is that what you're saying?
You can mute now.
Yeah, I do that.
Public.
Okay.
Dan?
We're live? Okay, perfect. Welcome everyone to a Bhéal on this beautiful sunny evening here in Cork. So welcome from wherever you are in the world. This is our 659th Bhéal, and this month's event is part of Cork Harbour Festival. And we have an exciting evening of poetry coming up with guest poets Theo, Dorgan and Leav. We also have the 5-word challenge at the start of the night, and we'll end the night with the open mic. So to begin is the 5-word challenge. So for anyone who it's your first time here, it works like this. The audience submit 5 words, so you submit words into the chat box. You then have 15 minutes to write a piece of poetry using all 5 of those words. After the 15 minutes are up, if you want to read out what you've written, you put your name into the chat box and you read out your pieces. And the winner of the 5-word challenge wins a book. I had the photograph of the book. Okay, so there's some words going into the chat already. You can win Sea of Strangers by Leav, and the 5 words poetry book as well, volume 14. Okay, so we have some words going into the chat. Let's see. We have the word cats, baldaquin, constricted, curtain, and floral. I'll just type those in again. Can I ask Doc what baldaquin means?
Baldaquin is the arched canopy, usually over an altar space.
Thank you. So the arched canopy, usually over an altar space.
Right.
Baldaquin. Okay.
C-A-Q-U-I-N.
And how do we submit in 15 minutes when we're done?
In 15 minutes, when you're done, you put you write 5 words and your name into the chat box, and then we'll call out your name and when it's your turn to read. So after the 15 minutes, just write 5 words and your name into the group chat.
I'm sorry, cat is not one of the words, is it?
It is. So cats, baldaquin, constricted, curtain, and floral.
Oh, not the word flash. Okay.
Flash didn't make it in. I think it was a 6th.
Okay.
Yeah. It could be cat or cats, singular or plural is acceptable.
Thank you.
Leav?
Okay, I think that's been 15 minutes. So anyone who has written a poem that they want to read on the 5 words, if you could just please type 5 words and your name into the chat box, and then I can invite you to read. And then for the voting for the winner of the 5 words, so after everyone who is participating has read, I'll then ask you to type the winner, type the words winner and the name of who you think is the winner into the chat box. And for our Facebook viewers as well, on the underneath the Facebook video, if you're watching, you can type in winner and the name of the winner, and we could count up your votes from Facebook as well. So we'll start with the readers. So we have Doc is coming in. Reading their 5 words, and then we can invite people as we go along. So Doc, would you like to start us off and read us your 5 words?
Okay. The old black cat went flying across the field, through the floral hedge, and up the rocky curtain of the mountainside. Climbing a constricted path, it was attracted to the bright baldaquin of sky and sight of the rainbow bridge, the heaviside layer. Unhesitating, it left its time-constricted life for the joy of a catnip world, a world of peace and warmth.
Thank you, Doc. And our next reader on the 5-word challenge is Matt Mooney.
Called Panda. Panda, the out all night cat, needs no baldaquin or curtain to make her grand stage entrances in the early morning dew. Though at times she seems dramatic when she lays beneath the Hoteniaster in the noonday heat. She feels no way restricted by that slightly open fly window of our bedroom. And if she fails to open it, she taps in her own tabby way. That should read, if she fails to open it, she taps softly in her own tabby way.
Thank you, Matt. Next on the 5-word challenge, we have Colm Scully. Yeah.
Yeah, this is called Cats. I wrote a poem once about cats for a competition a long time ago. It was my first time sending off a poem. I was constricted by my lack of skill in letting words breathe, in allowing their histories to harmonize together. But for me, it was a beginning, a pulling back of the curtain, ever so slightly, to see what lay inside. The magic world of others, hung out in verse to enrich me, where I could learn about the universe with a depth of understanding untouchable. I've since written hundreds of poems, of baldaquins and battlements, of dying and of distant worlds, but never again, until now, of cats.
Thank you, Colm. And next on the 5 words is Ruth.
Sorry, I have no title. A wedding gift from her father, as she had been to the local publican, farmer, shopkeeper, funeral director. This four-poster bed, an exchange of white lace for road frontage, floral pleats in valance sheets, a baldaquin draped, deeds kept decent in veils of oil and faded ribbon. I stand at her dresser, silver hand mirror and hairbrush, puff. Sunlight beams through the slightly parted curtains onto her peaceful, sleeping face. Cold hand laced through rosary beads. The faint smell of cat's piss overwhelmed in incense and older neighbours that have come to pay respects. Body shuffling, constricted through my grandmother's bedroom.
Thank you, Ruth. And next on the 5 words, we have Brendan. I can't hear you there, Brendan. Hang on.
Sorry, Ben, I'm pleading for 2 minutes to just write out a fair copy so it'll make sense.
I'll come back to you. I'll
Good man,
give you time to write it out.
2 minutes.
No worries. So next on the 5 words, we have Augustina.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I didn't choose the street life chose me. Having free things fills me with glee. Actually, why would I have one when I can have many? Spot rotten I am. I get what I want and then some. House number 5 has a lady who calls me Cat. House number 3 calls me Mr. Black. House number 11 calls me Peter. And the house of the baldaquin and the sequined curtains thinks I'm a girl. See, life is good. Let me tell you why I would never settle down. I will live my youth forever. Because I have options. I got choices. All of them wrapped around my little paw, giving in to the sound of my purr, purr, purr. Meow, sardines for breakfast. Meow, dried food for lunch. Meow, that wet pouch with chicken for dinner. My own designated cushion on the couch in the warm room, where I don't feel constricted, handy on them rainy days. Easy peasy scratch on the door, bump my head on the window, nudge of my paws. Yes, master. What is your desire? Yes, master. Do you want a rub? Yes, master. Have you eaten? Yes, master. It's cold outside. Stay inside. Yes, master. Here's a snack. Yes, master. Have some water. Yes, master. I noticed you don't like the Tesco value pouches. Well, I went to the butcher's just for you. You. See, why on earth would I settle down when I can have all 4 paws in all 4 doors?
Thank you, Augustina. And are you good to go, Brendan?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, cheers. Unheralded, Baldaquin the Bewildered inherited the throne in succession to floral Leviathan Stope. Prim Jim McCurtain missing out again after that catatonic incident. Bounded in a nutshell, the constricted Danish prince again fell foul. The rest is silence.
Thanks, Brendan. And next we have Cedric Bicont.
So this one is titled Omen. I was visited by the black cat, yes, neighbor. Symbol of those thoughts I know I should not feed into, yet can't help but entertain. He came by and sat near the window, stared into my soul through the floating tulle curtain. The omen was not good, as this distance was uncanny. The silent messenger was on error, but no support. The phone rang and my mother spoke. The words were not told, held in our chests, already constricted. The cat watched me reign inside. His side of the window was sunny, with a floral baldachin for shade. As the clouds cleared from my eyes, the feline nodded and moved on, taking away a piece of me. He will not be back.
Thank you, Cedric. And next on the open mic is Peter Manos.
I'm titling my poem, A Question for Agnostics and Atheists. It might feel right or liberating for an agnostic or atheist to criticize the beliefs of others, but they may, like me, have been constricted by their criticisms, especially criticisms of those with stricter religious practices. Because not having a belief system of one's own until the curtain is opened up. And the curtain was opened up for me when someone asked the question, why don't you choose your own concept of a higher power? And the baldachin of my own focus on the supposed hypocrisy of others faded away, opening me up to the floral beauty of my own unknowing, slinking away from firmly held objections, like a dark cat found out in its hiding, its shadows. And from that question came a better answer.
I like that.
Thank you very much, Peter. Next on 5 words, we have Pam Campbell.
Okay, this one's called Tortitude. Twilight drew constricted breath along Black Ridge, curtain, a sun. A lone tortie cat, black-shelled, scratched and clawed her way through rhododendron thicket, big tomcats, calicos, and yellow tabbies, to Grary Stone, minus tip of ear, patch of fur. Arched and purred on gospel side, stretched a tune, a baldachin, fairy woven floral melody, weightless, high and low, filled the
Thank you, Pam. And next we have Molly Toomey.
Thank you. Hello. So this here goes nothing. I thought I didn't like cats, but it was my ex who flinched at the scrape of a whisker, a paw scratching his knee. I wanted curtains for our apartment, soft cotton caressing the window, but he insisted on blinds, thin and white, snapping at my fingertips. He used to grab my hips, say this is the part of you that needs to shrink. But lately I've swapped the floral dresses he used to buy me a size too tight for bicycle shorts. I like how they make my legs. I ordered a baldachin online, a bed with 4 curtains. Tomorrow I'm going to pick up a cat named Chloe with an allergy to hay, constricted on a farm. She'll die if she doesn't move, if things don't change. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. And next on the 5 words, we have Sue Blue.
Thanks very much. Okay. Right, it doesn't have a title yet. Like placed on an altar of sunshine, purring, eyes narrow, beneath a baldachin of leaves. Cats meditate in stillness, zen oozing from their essence into the summer heat. A curtain of wisteria flowing its labiate lilac of floral drapes over this place of prayers echoing, curling it round these rugged ruins, church windows with no roof, constricted by the beauty of wilderness. The stillness breathes light, My breath rises to emerge into the vastness of the sky. The cats raise their eyes, following the light of my breath, lingering on the blue bloom, and religious boundaries transcend. Thanks.
Thank you, Sue. Okay, so I think that's all of the names we've had for the 5 words. Oh no, is there one more? A couple more have come in. A couple more have come in. So Catherine, we'll have Catherine next on the 5 words.
Hi, Ron. I call this poem Wedding Planner. I am a wedding planner for cats, not for the faint-hearted. Very demanding felines speak of the most ornate baldachin, with gold singing silk strings. Guests are all requested to wear floral bell-bottoms. It's a theme thing, you see. Music constricts to Bach or Satie, but when the party starts, cats climb that curtain and disco dog all night into the 70s. Their hair, such a perfect end to a perfect day.
That's looking good.
Thanks, Catherine. And next on the 5 words, we have Mags Creedon.
Okay, Catherine, you got me there anyway. Well done. This one is just remembering all these little floral boats that I see in different places when you're on the holidays. So it's universal language. Ma mère decide na crinu na mod. I'll fashion a baldachin around your face. Thread coral and peach roses for your floral garden. Peridot eyes of cat slashed through with onks. Pearls for tears. Closed now. Foil curtain floats the film to seal you, austere, distant, and demure. No azimuth will find your mysterious true north. Lady of St. Navaran, of the Occitan, of the Claddagh. Decorate walls of frescoes from Damascus. Plot celestial navigations to save my dead reckoning. My sextants finds the lunar distance through your constant. High noon, boats bedecked, golden vines embrace my mast. Virgin from Galicia, stone boats of granite brought you to James. My latitude at noon, Polaris, North Star, Ocean Queen. Heart restricted, bleeding far, lost fisherman. My north and south, azimuth of sun and moon. Protect our waters from Galicia to Salary, to the Claddagh, to Rossaville, to Connemara. Sinead Will.
Thank you very much, Mags. I think that's all our readers for the 5 words. So we might ask you now to put in the words winner and the name of who you think is the winner of the 5 words into the chat box, and we'll tally up the votes, and we'll also add up the votes from the Facebook video as well.
Yeah.
I suppose I'll just take Catherine.
Bear with us now while we add up the count.
You should look into like action music. Why is this happening? Like,
should get some tense poetry that we can read. Okay, so the count is just in, and Augustina is our 5 words winner for tonight.
Oh, wow.
Well done, Augustina.
Thanks.
Those 2 books, and we can send them out to you. And would you like to share with us again your poem?
Sure. Although I'm not sure I can read it the same way, but you know, we'll give it a go. I didn't choose the street life chose me. Having free things fills me with glee. Actually, why would I ever have one when I can have many? Spoilt rotten I am. I get what I want, I get what I can, and then some. House number 5 has a lady who calls me Cat. House number 3 calls me Mr. Black. House number 11 calls me Peter. And the house of the baldaquin and the sequined curtains thinks I'm a girl. See, life is good. Let me tell you why I could never settle down. I will live my youth forever. Because I have options. I got choices. All of them wrapped around my little paws, giving in to the sound of my purr, purr, purr. Meow, sardines for breakfast. Meow, dried for lunch. That wet pouch with chicken for dinner. My own designated cushion in a warm room where I don't feel constricted. Handy on them rainy days. Easy peasy, scratch on the door. Bump my head on the window, nudge with my paws. Yes, master, what is your desire? Yes, master, do you want a rub? Yes, master, have you eaten? Yes, master, here's a snack. Yes, master, have some water. Yes, master. I noticed you don't like the Tesco value pouches. I went to the butcher's just for you, you sweetheart. Why on earth would I settle down when I can have all 4 paws in all 4 doors? I'm just realizing I didn't read the word floral, but the floral is supposed to be floral cushion. So sorry about that.
Got inside the head of the cat. Okay, so that's the end of our 5-word challenge. It was a fun one. Coming up next, we have our guest poets Theo Dorgan and Leav, who I'm both very excited to hear. But we might just start first with a couple of announcements. So the first announcement tonight is that the 9th 5 Words International Poetry Competition, it continues. And this year's judge is Maurice Reardon. And for submission details, you can visit www.ovail.ie. And the 5 words for the cover, peach, brisk, weave, and havoc. Also, the 9th Ovail International Poetry Film Competition is also open for entries from the 1st of May until the 31st of August. And for submission details for that, you can also visit the website at www.ovail.ie. The Ovail Audio Archive, which has audio recording of every single Ovail that's ever happened, all 659 of them now. They're all available to listen to at the website link there at the Ovail blog. That's been posted in the chat as well. Next, just a general announcement. Ovail aims to maintain a safe space for writers and the general public. While we discourage self-censorship, we expect participants to be sensitive to and refrain from any offensive or discriminatory language, including that relating to race, gender, religion, cultural background, etc., in line with the Arts Council's equality, human rights, and diversity policy, or from any phrasing that may be hurtful towards marginalized or minority groups. The private chat mode is available for all participants to use during the event, so we ask that you please be respectful when communicating via these channels and to report any offence or online abuse to Ovail, either through the private chat or to the email address info@ovail.ie. The open mic session, which is coming up later, will be available to revisit as an MP3 podcast and on video via vimeo.com/Ovail. If you read on the open mic and is that still one of the, that's not an announcement anymore. No, if you read on the open mic, your poem will be broadcast, so bear that in mind. Our guest poets for next month on the 12th of July are Beeb Ashley and Tom Moore. That's next month on the 12th of July. The next announcement is that Shauna Lee Lynch, Jim Crickard, and myself have released a series of poetry videos, the Pop Poetry series, which are being presented by Glore as part of the NASC Venue Network's Lasta Festival 2021. And the videos are being released on YouTube and Instagram between Sunday and Tuesday. So some of them were released yesterday, some today, and some will be released tomorrow. And you can find them at the following link. Paul has just posted the link into the chat there. Thank you to everyone who has kindly offered donations. PayPal donations can be made via the link above the live poetry stage on our website, or through the blog on our contact page. Paul has just posted the link there. And any donations are really appreciated because Ovail relies to keep going. We need a bit the odd donation. And lastly, we have some sad news. Joe Sweeney, who was a much loved and regular attendee of Ovail, has sadly passed away. And our thoughts go out to his family and our condolences to his family. Joe was a good friend of mine and a good friend of a lot of people at Ovail, and a very funny man, a sweet man, an excellent writer, and a brilliant comic, and he'll be much missed. So our thoughts go out to his family. Okay, that's all of our announcements for tonight. So without further ado, I'll introduce to you our guest poets. So the first of our guest poets this evening is Theo Dorgan. Born in Cork, Theo Dorgan is a poet and also a novelist, prose writer, translator, editor, librettist, and documentary screenwriter. His most recent publications are Orpheus, Boleid Gifogaka, and his translation into Irish of Lorca's Romancero Gitano, and The Abduction, and his translation of Mara Malmasri's Le Rapt, a Poetry Book Society recommended translation. He is a member of Ace Dona, and as a longtime sailor, Theo has written abundantly about the sea. Also, to mark the birth of W.B. Yeats on 13th of June 1865, Theo will deliver this year's Joseph Hassett Yeats Lecture for the National Library of Ireland. That's tomorrow evening on Tuesday the 15th of June. That's tomorrow at 7 p.m. And you can book your free ticket to W.B. Yeats Cold Stone and Water at the following link. The link has just been posted into the chat there. So without further ado, I'd like to give a warm welcome to Theo Dorgan.
Thanks, Ben. And Conan Ovail. Yes. And all looking very well, I have to say. I have to peer, I'm afraid. I've come to that point in my life. It's a great pleasure to me to be reading with Long Leav. I've been reading her poems. I've been reading your poems with great pleasure, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing you speak them. I'd like to offer my condolences to the family and friends of Joe Sweeney. That's a big loss, especially if you've been. It's just one of those things, isn't it? People will leave us. Well, I hope he's having a good journey, and I'm sure wherever he is, he's making them laugh. I'm sure he is. I'd like to also offer recent birthday greetings to Mags, who had a birthday very recently. And oh, you're mortified. You can all send her slices of cake.
Thank you.
Or a voucher for Farmgate dessert.
Okay, right, follow it. Thank you, Theo. I'm wearing well.
Listen, the younger you're getting. Oh yes, there's a clock at the top of my screen. Good, I have to be careful. I hate running over. Even if only virtually, home again. So I'll count on Paul there up in the top left corner of my screen, wherever he is on yours, to give me the traditional throat-cutting gesture when you've heard enough. I thought I'd start tonight with a poem I rarely read. It's called Going to the Chateau, and it's for Deirdre Meany, a dear friend of mine, a very talented, gifted artist, life companion of mine, who died very suddenly on a summer's day in France. And I take the title and one of the lines in the poem from the last entry she left in her book. And the quote from her notebook is, "Happiness today was a field ablaze with poppies. Tomorrow we are going to see the chateau. Listen, my darling, listen, the wind going over that dry green meadow down. Watching it come and go the way your look does, going out to the horizon, then settling on my neck, my long hair blowing free. You draw on a cigarette, taking me in the way you have for so many years now. The best of I had in this life was in your look, through smoke dancing as a door blew open, or walking down Wellington Road in the early morning, climbing that Via Dolorosa in winter rain, your eyes catching mine, sometimes fire. More often, so deep going in and seeing me, I would catch my breath. I was a stranger wandering this earth until I found home with you. Everything that we ever did was right. Everywhere that we walked, lay, climbed, or swam was a spur and nurture to curiosity. Your virtuoso flourishes with the brush or mine in dyes, a kind of gesture or guarantee. Invocation of the world when it's being itself. Sweetheart, stretch out your arms and let your eye be dry and exact now as it ever was. Look a last time on these my bones, place poppies on my breast, measure me, make me a bed of silence to be my home. Oh, bring me home. But first, we are going to see the famous chateau. Are you afraid? Don't be. I knew you wouldn't be. Take my hand. Be shy again with me. Be strong now more than ever, and I will carry your look with me to the door. Breathe in my mouth and press my lips, for me, such a rich and true life as we made. Be proud of me as I have been proud of you. Remember these poppies, this lush, darkening field, this cold, oncoming, starry rush of night. And this poem remembers a dear friend who left us in 2001. Pray. Send down your sweet cascading rain on all who burn in sea mist and gather them to the pool. Deluged, upturned faces, oh, let fall cataract, sheet rain, torrent of cold water, that their bones may cool, their furnace hearts fall quiet, that dry rage cease. May they find peace who were in fire, wreathed and bound, or bring them on home in your song of water. You who were daughters once, now mothers forever, send down your rain, your cold, consoling rain. I have to read a Cork poem, of course. It's this time of year, I have a particular warm memory of these. You went out and you went out And the night was endless. The light seemed endless. The light seemed as if it would never go. And one of my favorite places to go was to Audley Terrace at the top of Patrick's Hill. With that whole panorama of my beautiful north side laid out before me, and the last sun glinting on the roof of St. Vincent's on Sunday as well, and the fish spinning on the top of Shandon. The smell of the brewery before that feckin' Egypt Jerry Van Soos knocked the chimney and took away one of the key landmarks of my life. So closed circuit. I was fascinated when I was a kid in the Mon at the notion of, staring out helplessly, hopelessly out the window, waiting to be free, and realizing that those swallows spend the winter in North Africa. Smart swallows, that's all I can say. Closed circuit. The light of evening falls in swathes over the north side and Blackpool. Children are rolling downhill in the long grasses of Bell's Field, over and over, elbows tucked tight, drenched in the smell of her. They never seem to hit rocks or roll in the signature of the city, broken glass. Laughter and light trip memory inward, rooftops press forward some long forgotten summer, and I fall in delicious vertigo into a classroom where I sit silent, staring. Even that youngest swallow, climbing on leaf smoke, starting on the miraculous journey south, bends downwind for home, though he has never been there. I sat in the smell of wood and chalk dust, baked in the sun with smell of the slaughterhouse, my mind soaring through the roof, neck hairs bristling. I hung for hours over familiar lanes and streets, picturing another home in another country. The calls of my classmates after school were high, wide, and shrill, familiar and alien. The memory neither fades nor fails to haunt. Afternoon music over North African streets. And today, I think you are a village in those mountains. There are squares and fountains, wells of cool darkness in the center of each house, the walls soaked in a whiteness that makes the heart ache. Every house is a house of mystery. Even the scrubbed tables are blessed with the imprint of our daily use and habit. Open the drab green shutters and lean out. I have been flying to you since childhood, and I thirst for the shock of your fountains, the cool shade of your care. Let me roll like a child forever in your hair. Somebody once told me that was a bad poem because you can't be in two places at once. Did you ever hear such nonsense? You can't be in two places at once. Give me in any number of places at once, as far as I can make out. I was going to read. It's slightly awkward, isn't it, Zoom? Because you're kind of looking down at the book and looking up for it, and then of course you lose your place. Meanwhile, everybody is looking to see, have you got a spot on your nose, or what's the title of the book behind your left shoulder? And it's a very bizarre phenomenon, isn't it? I noticed actually something peculiar. I never knew until I started giving poetry readings by Zoom that I have a terrible habit of licking my lips when I come to the end of a line. I'm so conscious of all these mad things on Zoom, don't you? I'd like to read a little poem for Jerry Murphy, who is making a splendid recovery from a nasty operation. And the man is utterly irrepressible. You cannot stop him, thank God. May he go on forever. This is called A Neighbour of Ours, and it's dedicated to Jerry. The lift of a linnet's wing was all he asked, tumbling over sweet Blackpool from the North Chapel, Shandon, the Assumption. To be standing on Richmond Hill and the pale sun shining, a day in October, the air clear in his head. Nothing out of the ordinary. A simple, perfect moment. The lift of a linnet's wing was all he asked for and got. Yeah. these highly sophisticated pieces of torn pages stuck in to tell me where I'm going next. It's the Harbour Festival, so of course, when I grew up in Cork, nobody sailed unless your family had a yacht. It was a terrible thing. That's all changed now, and it's quite marvelous. I remember many years ago, Jerry Murphy writing a few scarifying poems about the Royal Cork Yacht Club, as was. I doubt he'd write them now. I believe they're allowing human beings in, like people. I'm only teasing. But I became fascinated by sailing at a late age, and what I call a late vocation. And it's such a world in itself. This is called watchkeeping. The crew sleep on, my care for now, so different each from each. Zephyr going down says casually, just keep us off the beach. Dry in their bunks, they dream beyond the long swell's reach. A lee shore on the port bow, storm petrels, what they teach. Thunder ashore and the lowering sky, I am well beyond speech, all concentration. Wind coming up, tighten the mainsail beach. Here is what helming is and trust. We rest or we take the watch. We do what we must. Years ago, first really long trip I took, where some of us brought Oliver Hart's boat, Spirit of Oyster Haven, back from Antigua. And about 25 miles off the West Cork coast, I started to smell cow shit and hay and dry hedges and fuchsia. Then you really smell the land from that far out. And we just raised the fastnet, which means just see the loom of its light over the horizon. And I had a sudden memory of my grandfather, well, not a memory, but a thought, I suppose you'd say, of my grandfather as a very young man, sailing past that on his way out to New York and back very soon after to take part in the War of Independence. And so there it is, a lighthouse in my family history that I didn't know about. I don't know if you heard the doorbell there, but it's been taken care of. At midnight, we raised the fastnet. 20 miles on a clear night, fitful stars. So many other lights to reckon with, trawlers, an eastbound coaster, something we weren't sure of going away from us on the same course. Simon, calm at the helm, picking them out one by one. It should have been cold, we had come so far north, and I was tired, but couldn't go below. Coming home off the sea, perhaps that was it, or a kind of doubling with my grandfather's ghost. Seeing him now as the newborn child he was, I hold that child up, first sight of his homeland. I hold his beloved son, my father, suddenly as close. And there up ahead, my mother to welcome us home. All blazed in light, confident, beautiful, young. We so rarely think of our parents as young, isn't it true? My grandfather actually did see the fastnet for the first time, if he had his eyes open at all, as a child, because he was being brought home from rather adventurous birth. He was born off Cape Horn, and his mother, my great-grandmother, died in childbirth. They were coming home from New Zealand, where my great-grandfather had a grain shipping business, and they decided they wanted a child born, and so they headed for home. But unfortunately, she died in labor of the Horn. And so fortunately, there was somebody there to wet nurse my grandfather. And for many years, I thought that it was just that some woman had given birth recently and had enough milk for two. And I sailed around the Horn myself. We sailed a boat from Chile to South Africa, and I wrote about it in a prose book. And somebody said to me after I'd read that section from it, you realize that woman probably had the milk to keep your grandfather alive because she had lost a child of her own. And had not occurred to me. So there you are. I must find, see, I had carefully put pieces of paper in all these, and then I went, of course, and lost them. And I think it's on page 113. I was going to read you that little piece. How are we doing for time? Yeah, okay. This is a section from a longer poem dealing with that event, the birth of my grandfather. I often thought in 1972, I went to work in New Jersey for the summer, and my last conversation with my grandfather, he told me his two stepsisters, or half sisters, I can never remember these degrees of relationship. His father had married again, that's it, they're done. They were coming home, they were coming to Ireland for the first time ever. And I was his favorite grandson. So his last words to me is, they have a big farm on the North Island, I'll get that farm for you. And then he went and died when I was in New Jersey. So I think sometimes of my lost farm on the North Island of New Zealand. You know? Sadly, the lost farm. But anyway, this is my grandmother, great-grandmother. She died in childbirth off Cape Horn, great-grandmother. Died on a black ship heading home, the deck plunging and rising, the air down below fetid and chill. Salt everywhere, sweat in her hair and eyes, her breath faltering, falling still. There, at the end of the world, her house of memory caving in lamplight maybe, or in weak daylight failing, the cold that would have been cold. Her fear for the child, the ebb in her blood, her last thought and nurse for the child. The board on the lee rail, her body on it, wrapped in old canvas, lead weights at her feet. Good men to shoulder the board, captain intoning the service, his words on the wind. If it were me, I'd have done it at night, under the Southern Cross. Wait till the afterdeck tips to the scudding clouds, then a nod, a sharp tilt, and she's over. She slides in, and then it's down, 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 forever, into the green dark. The book snapped shut, a drink for the men. Everything squared away. We lost, not that long ago at all, our great friend Kieran Carson, one of the finest Irish poets of the 20th or any other century. He was very dear to us. He was a good friend, Paula and myself. We loved spending time with him. He was a gifted poet. So I wrote him a little piece the night he died. And it's in Irish and my own translation into English. Gléanachal. Hídam do le bhostú amachta na culata, tháinig séadán ruithe ag cnaga ar an bána, cúthaileach tusteach, teachtara a dúig agus leisce ar an droch nuachta nacht. Igus ar nua, réach le hinseanta ige. Gléanachal le fada inis sa firmament, ó réalt go réalt ditim na híthe. Mar sin hain, dairias the frab, do love jangan in my love so a lamb the gahul, culla neavni, gweanochel, the hubban in the gala guiha. The wind of the word. I was on the brink of settling into the arms of sleep when a gust came and rattled the window pane, shy, reticent, a messenger from the north, hesitant to disclose the bad news. I knew what it had come to say. We'd been hearing wind of the word across the firmament from star to star in the long fall of night. All the same, I woke with a start, your hand firm in my hand, flames of grief already arcing between your eyes, sleep cancelled, wind of the word, all of a sudden, the full gale. And I'll read two more. This is called, I won't explain it, except to say that the Skeleton Coast is on the west coast of Africa, and it's a notoriously dangerous place to sail. Found at auction in a doctor's notebook. Skeleton crew for the long haul north on the Skeleton Coast. Uncharted waters, reefs marked by a scribble of surf, roses dry in the rigging, under the bleached pine decks, down in the bubbling dark, the plague struck, sweated and roared, stank and fell terribly, finally silent. The worst of it, thirst, dry, that and the night watch, tipping the bodies overboard under the stars. Captain and mate went early, then the young, one after another, but we stood on, we veterans, our bones long hardened by salt, eyes trained to the far horizons. We ruled ourselves by consent, the strong for the yards and canvas, the quick for the sheets and halyards, the tender to nurse the sick. We hardly spoke, look and gesture, the fluent voice of order. And still they died. I had the helm when a man said, "We'll fight her home whatever it takes." We'll fight her home, he said. And that we did. Could be accused of being a Cobbett poet. Just one last one. It's the Envoi. It's called Cape Horn. I hand over the wheel and step aside. I close my eyes, I think of you all, I open my arms, this wind from the icebound south sucked upward, then bent towards long imagined Africa by the looming weight of the continent up above. I feel the boat heel and dig deep as we drive on. I want to say, as we crash through broken waters, I will be gone as these under the keel are gone, that we ride the wind a moment only. But the better truth is this: time is eternal now. There never was, nor ever will be, an end to voyaging. And long may O Bhéal sail on. Thank you very kindly.
Well done, Theo, beautiful.
Theo, for that tender reading, tender, expansive and seafaring reading. And it's always brilliant to hear you at Bhéal. So thank you very much. So I'm very excited now to announce our second guest, Leav. Novelist and poet Leav was born in a refugee camp in Thailand when her family were fleeing the Khmer Rouge regime. She spent her formative years in Sydney, Australia, in the predominantly migrant town of Cabramatta. Among her many achievements, Lang is the winner of a Qantas Spirit of Youth Award, Churchill Fellowship, and Goodreads Reader's Choice Award. Lang's poetry books have all been international bestsellers. Her third collection, Sea of Strangers, invites the reader to go beyond love and loss, to explore themes of self-discovery and empowerment as they navigate their way around the human heart. She participates in international writers' festivals, and her tours consistently draw massive crowds. With a combined social media following of 2 million, Lang's message of love, loss, and female empowerment continues to resonate with her multitude of readers. We're honored and very excited to have you reading with us today, Leav.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. I'm very excited to be here today, and thank you for having me. Thank you, Theo, for that wonderfully sentimental reading. I think all of us felt like we were on a journey, on an odyssey. So that was just a lovely experience. Thank you so much for that. So it's a rainy day here in Auckland, New Zealand. I've never been to Ireland, but I hear that we share the same weather. So definitely something to tick off my list one day. So today I'll be reading a few poems that are inspired by the sea. And for the last 10 years or so, I've lived by the sea. And I've been very lucky to be able to watch the seasons change, watch the waves come in and out. And I think you feel very connected to the elements when you're there. So yeah, a lot of lines in Theo's poems resonated just because we're right by the sea. So sometimes it feels like we're living on a ship. So my first poem I'm going to read is from my book, Sea of Strangers. And This poem was originally published in my first book, Love and Misadventure, but it's one that I want to start with just because it was the start of everything for me. It was the first poem that I shared with the world, and it just really kicked things off for me. Sea of strangers. In a sea of strangers, you've longed to know me. Your life spent sailing to my shores. The arms that yearn to someday hold me will ache beneath the heavy oars. Please take your time and take it slowly, as all you do will run its course, and nothing else can take what only was always meant as solely yours. Thank you. And this poem is High Tide. Are you somewhere looking at the sea, my love? You love to watch the tide come in, love the fullness of it. Said that's how your heart was when I smiled. I was angry once about how much you loved my smile. Some days it felt like a burden to smile for you, to keep the lines of worry from etching into your forehead. You said I was a girl who couldn't decide between the ocean and the shore. Said the only way to make me fall in love with the present was to turn it into my past. And now this poem is, it's my favorite to read out. And, you know, it's very much inspired by the sea in terms of its rhythmic quality. And I was contacted by a publication who wanted me to write, wanted to write something for their September issue. But then by the time I'd submitted it, they said, well, it's a little bit late, so can we put it in our October issue, and would you be able to change the title to October Love? And I said, absolutely not. So I got to keep the poem, which I'm really glad I did. So here it is. September Love. How many years must we put between us to prove we are no longer in love? How many summers and Septembers, distractions and chance meetings, remnants of our sad, hopeful love in another's look, an all too familiar gesture. How long do we go on dragging our bodies day after day through this yawning, yearning world, searching for a glimpse of what could have been? Someone else like me for you, that your experience of love has not been defined by the way I spoke your name into the hollow of your neck. Ask me if I have found the same kind of reverence anywhere else but in your slow, patient hands, your sea salt lips spilling laughter mid-sentence, my heart rising in a crescendo like a wave ready to crash. As you whispered to me, love is the only thing that time cannot touch. After all this time, my love for you burns constant and true. My guiding light, my morning star. Time is testament to the relentless, unyielding power of this old ancient love, a love I will carry with me from eons to oceans to inches, back to you. And this poem is titled 33 Locks, and it's very much about my life, you know, growing up in a small town and then, you know, moving across the ocean and living by the sea. And yeah, it's just my experience of that. And the poem is titled 33 Locks. 10 years ago, I arrived here to this idle, halcyon town, this little seaside house. There are 6 doors and 14 windows. There are 33 locks. I turn them over in my head when I can't sleep at night. I get out of bed to press my face against the tempered glass. Once I lived in a room without a window. I bet you could still see the places I wore the paint thin with my fingernails. I still think about it sometimes. Some nights, my mind feels just like that room. And this poem, which is the final poem that I'm reading in my collection, is A Dream of Hope. Last night I slept for the first time since you left, and I dreamt about two suns in an apocalyptic sky, one edged in black and smouldering like a cigarette burn. I saw the sea rise up so high outside, so I climbed up onto the tin roof to look inside the mouth of Neptune. In a hotel room where we couldn't figure out the light switches, my legs were wrapped around you and I was humming a tune that we both knew by heart. There was a woman who made a shrine for her dead lover in the hollow of a tree. She looked straight at me with eyes milky white and whispered, "It's not too late." So that was See You Strangers. September Love is a collection that I wrote. I wrote half of it, before the pandemic, and then the other half after the pandemic hit. There's a dual quality to it, and I think that very much is like my life, and that I seem to live on opposite sides of the spectrum, and I think most poets will identify with that feeling. But being in lockdown, I think it gave me this sense of isolation, and taught me not just to shut out the outside world, but this was also mirrored, with social media and what have you, that I was able to shut a lot of that out as well. And I was able to feel like I was writing without some, which was an interesting development. So this poem is called Dear February. Dear February, you were always the month of goodbyes, standing sentry to autumn and her changing years. Tall trees and dappled light on the city pavement, shifting under my feet, skirting the cracks. I think of my mother and what she lost one February, and there are things you know about me that I don't want her to know. Is my secret safe with you, dear February? Like you, I'm caught between the city lights and the sea, torn between my love and my home. Like you, I'm the sun that keeps setting too soon, missing the summer even while I'm here. And this poem, Diorama, is very personal. It's about my experience of, moving across the ocean to be with someone who, I guess socially and culturally was just completely different to anything that I'd ever known. Diorama. Tell me about your life, they say. Do you really want to know about me? Not the meticulous shop front of my life, the grinning dolls in the window, forever youthful, propped up with pills. The surgeon's scalpel making me more what I'm supposed to be, less who I am. Where I'm from, there is a name for women like me, women who slip into the lives of others, transient even if they never leave, who give all they have to a man and thank him for the privilege. Do you really want to hear about the raised eyebrows, the humiliation of being seen as less than I am, the desperation of proving myself at every party? What someone needs to say in colourful tones, oh, she is someone, because if I wasn't, then I'd just be another eye roll, the absent shake of the head. Women grasping the hands of their husbands a little tighter when I'm in close proximity. I tell them about my life by the sea, the idyllic writer's life, the bohemian glitz of never having to sing for my supper, lying around in bed all day in my pajamas, petting cats, eating out of cereal boxes. And the thing I want to say is the very thing I can't, because this is not my life. And I know it looks beautiful to you through the rose-tinted lens of poetry. It looks beautiful to you when every light is on and the shades are up. It looks beautiful to you with my head thrown back, easy laughter spilling from my mouth, my arms wrapped around a man solely devoted to my happiness, his fingers through my hair, watching me. And you think, look at her, so much love, so much life, but only from the outside, only when someone's looking in. And this poem is titled Too Close. I live my life between being loved or being known, wishing the two were one. To be loved is a wave rushing past the shoreline, filling every void. To be known is an ache that never goes away. Now that you love me, are you afraid to know me? Will distance tell you what your heart refuses to see? You're too close to me, my love. You're missing. And this is, I've got two more to read. I'm not sure about the timings, but hopefully, you know, I'm doing okay. This poem is titled My Mother, and my mum was actually on the run from the Khmer Rouge. She was trying to get to the Thai border, and without knowing it, she was pregnant with me at the time. And this poem is really, really special just because, you know, I toured in many parts of the world. But the first time I read this poem out was at the Writers' Festival in Sydney, and my mum was in the audience, and that was an extremely special moment for me. My mother. My mother was a woman without country as I lay curled in her womb, her body marked for death, teeming with life, my life. Barely aglow when she glared into the pit of darkness, a hairline cracked from death, crawling to the light, dreaming of a faraway shore and a little girl in her arms. My mother, my safe passage into this world, fought a war to show me wars can be won. And this is the last one. 27. What age are you when you dream about yourself in the thick underwater flashes of coherence, not knowing you're asleep? I am 27, and the drawer has just slammed shut on my hand, and I have yet to know pain, raw and undulating. I have yet to know rips you back from yourself, makes you over into something else. In my dreams, there are photographs of me that don't exist, and I'm backlit against the sun, face in shadow, hair bathed in golden light. The fabric of my subconscious looks for you, calls to you, a fisherman and his net coming up empty. And you wear the face of someone I loved at 27. And my heart is like the ocean, breaking like waves, breaking all throughout the ages. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and you know, thank you to the Cork Harbour Festival for having me, and Paul and the team. Yeah, thank you so, so much. I really loved being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lang. That was a beautiful reading, and it's wonderful for Bhéal to have you read, and for Cork Harbour Festival. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I suppose I'll invite everyone to give another virtual round of applause for Lang Leav and for Theo Dorgan.
Thank you, everyone. It was such a lovely experience. Thank you.
And the next part of our night is the open mic. So open mic enthusiasts are now invited to sign up to the open mic by typing open mic and your name into the chat box. And you'll be called in as you put in your name. So I'm starting to get some names already. Okay, I'll announce these as they come in, and we'll get the open mic rolling. So the first name in for the open mic is, let me just make sure this is right, is Doc Janning. No, wait, hang on. We were going to start the open mic with Mary O'Connell.
Thanks very much. Sorry, Doc, I will be as brief as possible. This poem is inspired, or was inspired, by Theo, and it's called Scanning the Bridges of Cork. Once called Cork the sister of Venice, with 29 bridges spanning the Leav. The latest edition, built for pedestrians, highlights somebody whose courage was key. The Mary Elms walkway honors a woman who rescued small children from when Nazis in Vichy wanted to gas them, risked her own life, which was then under threat. Nicknames were conjured for 3 of these structures. For instance, the Shaky Bridge near Sunday's Well. Drunks hate to cross it, but even if sober, you might feel you're suffering a slight dizzy spell. Take the Nanonagle Bridge near the South Mall, opened officially by Lord Mayor Liam Burke. The man got a turn and, feeling quite queasy, explained that he couldn't return to his work. Later, he came through a heart operation, 6 weeks to the day when he first felt the twinge. The locals decided the bridge was Burke's bypass. It only succeeded in making him cringe. Gerard Goldberg, Cork's only Jewish Lord Mayor, opened Trinity Bridge to link Union Quay. Some bright sparks, knowing his background and faith, declared the Passover was what it should be. An age-old rivalry seems to persist between some Northsiders and those on the South. But despite all the slagging, we mustn't forget that the building of bridges is what life's about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. Brilliant to hear you read. And next on the open mic, we have Doc Janning.
Thank you. I wrote this while in a park near my home. But a moment. We stand in a valley amid eldritch traceries of time. We are between hills, formed by nature, shaped by man. We listen in silence to hear voices of stones, the voice of Gaia, ancient wisdom of trees as they speak to the sky, ageless songs of birds calling to life, the murmur of a stream in the soundscape of water, and the inscrutable sigh of an Aeolian breeze. Around us is a rich tapestry, a tapestry of existence, woven of light and shadow, of day and night, sun, moon, and stars, and seasons of eons. We are there in the there of the past, the here of the present, the where of the future, and all the infinite moments of between. Time passes in all its arcane mystery, from unknown origin to unknowable end, and we are but a moment. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Doc. And next on the open mic, I'd like to welcome Peter Manas.
Thank you. Great to hear everyone. This piece of mine is called Recycling. He goes to the old landfill to try to find the real dirt. And he digs in the sand and he finds a tiny porcelain doll, and he puts it safely off on the side. And he chooses a special place for a mulch pile, and he rakes many leaves up into the mulch pile. And he takes out some of the sticks, and he takes out some of the half-inch thick asphalt chips. And he doesn't know where he should put them. So he takes some of them away with him and throws them out in the garbage, just out of the slim chance they'll find a better home the second time. And he stomps on the mulch pile and turns it upside down to hope it turn into the real dirt. And he returns to the same spot years later, and he mounds a mound out of the new soil. This is the porcelain doll on top of it, and he plants a tree by the porcelain doll. And he never leaves the place for very long, and he ends up staying there and dying there, and he ends up in the real dirt himself. But no one knows but he himself as he sinks down into the earth's soft grass.
Thank you very much, Peter. And next on the open mic, we have Pam Campbell.
Hey. Chuck. I breathe soft neath waning moon, blue-black twilight clothed, and wait for you to sing. On my left, a position I've come to trust. Chuck Will's widow, Chuck Will's widow. 4-syllable lusty chant for territory and mate, springs quick beat Chuck headlong to Will's widow. I whistle soft to your strong Chuck Will's widow, Chuck Will's widow. A poor imitation I make, but in bold Chuck Will's widow, fills the marrow of my bone, uplifts my downtrodden heart. One night I gift a surprise, my mandolin soft strings a tune. I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world below. Hiccups your Chuck. Intelligence that stretches back thousands of years, puzzles a perfect cadence thread. I know dark clouds, Chuck Will's widow, will gather round me, Chuck Will's widow. I know my way, Chuck Will's widow. You see, Chuck Will's widow, Chuck, sing me home. Thank y'all.
Beautiful, Pam. Thank you. And next on the open mic, we have Colm Scully.
Hi, thanks, Ben. I'm just going to read something actually by our good friend Joe Sweeney. Joe was mostly a prose writer, as you know, and a comic writer, and this is a serious piece. This is actually a poem from the 5-word challenge book, 2009, and he always entered the 5-word challenge, and this is one I found by him. It's from the 16th of November 2009. And the words were chrysalis, wall, parasol, beautiful, and memory. I have a beautiful memory of that summer of you and I, sitting beneath a parasol in Antibes, beside an old stone wall, over which the bougainvillea was spilling. And I wanted to come out of my shell, to tell you something, to flex my wings, to escape from the chrysalis of my fear, become a butterfly of abandon and hope. And the sun went down and the moment passed and I didn't dare to eat the peach. The moment is there inside me still, a painting, an idea of sun and bougainvillea and sunlight and a butterfly that never made it onto the canvas. Thanks.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you for reading that. And next on the open mic, sorry, I've lost my list here. Is Matt Mooney.
Thank you, Paul. I have a short poem here from my new collection, Stout by the Stars. And this poem is called Stardust. I have fallen off the horse I had in the land of youth, where daydreams belong to the ready and the strong. A story of rarely brushing, while on borrowed time you spiraled out of sight, lost in a shower of. I should have known better, but on a Sunday afternoon, I was silently spirited away on a lengthy flight of fancy, looking and listening to you singing in a summer garden, slowly fueling my lift off, charming me to Tiernanog.
Thank you, Matt. And next up on the open mic is Massimo Elijah.
Hello, hello. Honored to be here as always. Lightly snoozing on a light stream of illusion, I see my likeness in the fruit of life that I'm consuming. I try not to be frightened by confusion. If love is where the truth begins, like roots with the fruit within. So I conjure up my image in a vision, but it's different from the one position sitting where I'm sitting. Can I bridge the distance from the dream to what I'm living, as the dream and dreamer reunite through the division? Dream train at lover's station. Take my naked love as true prayer and supplication. Forgive adulteration. Much praying, much waiting, much seeking and much chasing. Much gaining wisdom just to see love's the culmination. Live in love, love creating and then love creation. Give above and then beyond without an expectation. Do no harm, do no harm, do no harm. But forgive me, my love, I have sinned with mine arm. The world is funny, makes you lonely, keeps you company. If it were a mirror, I'd be truly beautiful and ugly. I see my face in multitudes as they outnumber me. Their worries trouble me, but they're so vulnerable it humbles me. I'm just an organ to the universal organism, born in the source of the schism where the world was risen. I look for wholeness through a hole in a broken system. The rhythm while unfolding where our story is hidden. Searching for myself and I was missing. The light within, outside in, felt like a prison. The art of dark thinking left my heart sinking. My spark dwindling where once there was a star twinkling. I heard a voice within a voice and started listening, speaking strange tales of reality and fiction. We began to tell a story so gripping that its truth began to warp the truth that I was living. But through the thickness of the darkness came a vision, a revelation that awoke my heart until it sparked a mission. It's simple. Is it worth existing? If I say different, then I offer false wisdom. thought that I was living like a prophet, but I was just a fool with his finger in the socket. Wisdom is a jewel that's hidden when you think you got it, till it finds a way to light the world by slipping out your pocket. Between my temples, I try to treat it like a temple. Keep it sacred, still maintain a space that's residential. I try not to leave all my baggage in the vestibule, but put it on the altar and let the rest fall for blessing you. I left my crown of thorns for a rose garden. I begged for pardon, but instead it honored me with rose garlands. I try to lay down my guard so that love may be my guardian, but it takes heart for a broken heart to give its heart again. There is no saint without a sin that might not warrant him to die, and no sinner that the sun has not pardoned with her shine. Thank you so much, y'all.
Thank you very much for that, Massimo. And next on the open mic, we have Kemi.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
I was asked to, by my friend to write a poem about Africa for a group called Africans Connect for Africa Day. So here it is. So, Africa is a celebration, a daily occasion without lukewarm moments. From Gabon to Djibouti, from Libya to Botswana, a continent of mind-boggling diversity, feeding the world's curiosity. Inherited tools, lifestyles considered primitive. Your raw utility and direct beauty frustrates and fascinates. Africa is a celebration and a commemoration, a daily occasion without lukewarm moments. From Mali's Dorgan to Himba herders in Namibia, a continent of sustainable paths of vital lessons to impart. Forlorn and desperately poor, harshness of sun and shyness of rain, plunder harvest, we run away, then yearn for you again. Africa is a celebration and a commemoration, a daily occasion without lukewarm moments. From famine to drought, from earthquakes to volcanoes, you can be an unforgiving mother and a longed for lover. Ravaged for rock and metal, for oil and landscapes, imperialists and dictators, all traitors, so many good leaders assassinated. Africa is a celebration and a commemoration, a daily occasion without lukewarm moments. From Western-backed wars to nepotistic laws, a continent of visible flaws. Industrious as termites, stabilizing, nourishing global communities, creating new dynamic businesses. Africa is a celebration and a commemoration, a daily occasion without lukewarm moments. From hearing aids to motorcycles, a continent of solar-powered innovations. Culture as abundant as mangoes, exports, complex beats, adaptive intelligence, contagious style and myriad traditions. Africa is a celebration and a commemoration, a daily occasion without lukewarm moments. From Mglaza to Selina Wamuchi, a continent of influence and ingenuity. Advanced ancient rhythms drum up inventions and scientific investigations. Nations rich with young brilliance, leading Africa to increasing excellence. Africa is a celebration and a commemoration, a daily occasion without lukewarm moments. From Intabissing Mosia to Bilikis Adibia Abiola, a continent of technologies and wisdom, extending magnificent horizons.
Thank you very much, Kemi. Thank you. And next on the open mic, we have Michelle Delay.
Hey everyone, thanks for all your readings. Thanks to Theo and Lang especially, they're really gorgeous readings. And Theo, I think it's you're not getting as old as you think, because some of your recollection of your childhood up in up by Rathmore Terrace was quite still quite fitting with the description that I put on my own. So I enjoyed that, and I've been particularly smell of Murphy's Brewery as well this week, actually. So I kind of got a good kick out of that. So thanks. And I'm also just going to read some work by Joe Sweeney as well. And he was a humorous writer, and I hope it doesn't feel insensitive if I read some of his more humorous work. So Stan Knott was good enough to drop one of his publications down to me during the week as well, Tilting at Windmills. So I'm going to read from that. And this piece is called Hotline, and I have a great memory of one of those long Mondays. Smile I broke was when hearing Joe read this down in the Long Valley, so it cheered me up to read it again. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit with it because it's a bit longer for the open mic. Okay, Hotline by Joseph Sweeney. Hello, this is Garda Síochána. Listen carefully. Our menus are constantly changing. For general inquiries, please press 0. If you're ringing to help us with our inquiries, please come in, select a cell, and pull the door after you. They're self-locking. We're very short-staffed at the moment. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Beep. Hello. Extension 3. Since it's after 4 in the morning and no one's available right now, if you feel you're in danger, get out of a window and run as fast as you can. Under no circumstances should you confront the burglar. People adopting Bruce Lee poses in their underwear or wielding hatchets have not done this well in the past. Avoid conflict. You could be injured, or worse still, you could injure the burglar. If you injure the burglar, he could sue you, and you might have to sell your house to pay the medical bills. This mightn't be such a bad thing, as you wouldn't have to worry us anymore about being burgled, and furthermore, not be bothering us at this ungodly hour in the morning ever again. We've some serious drink. Is that right, Jack? 9, is it? At the Stag's Head, right? Righto. Okay, where was I? If the burglar is outside at this very moment, and you can hear him try to get in, turn on all the lights and get some music on. Daniel O'Donnell's CDs can be surprisingly effective. The sergeant thinks it's because he reminds the burglars of their mothers, and they feel guilty or afraid. Some of my colleagues think it hasn't anything to do with their mothers at all. They think it's just Daniel's voice that does the trick. Personally, I've nothing against Daniel's voice. Beep. Hello, there's a problem with extension 7. That particular office and phone have been stolen. Go on to 8. Beep. Hello, extension 8 here. Stolen car section. If your car has been stolen, you'll hardly get it back now. It's probably a burning heap somewhere in the mountains. For miscellaneous matters, please dial 9. Beep. Extension 9. If you're a middle-aged spinster ringing in the hope of meeting a man in uniform, beware of soliciting. But if you're really desperate, you could come in and we can furnish you with a list of single eligible Gardaí. If it's too long to give over the phone, besides it's dangerous too in this day and age, there's a lot of wild women out there. For serious emergencies, please dial 999, unless it's Maura Doyle ringing for her son-in-law, Garda Sean Hennessy. Sean has left a message that, if it's you, Maura, you should dial 666. Finally, for some general advice on handling emergencies, ring extension 10.
Thanks for reading that, Michelle. That was hilarious. And next on open mic, I've lost the box completely. Yeah. Next on the open mic is Philip Spillane.
Thanks very much, Ben. I have a short announcement. I'll say it as quick as I can, if that's all right. So it's a project I'm working with a team of very talented artists. The Locked Out Collection 3 will be premiered on YouTube this Friday at 7 p.m. I will post the link in the comments. It's a 20-minute video of art, music, poetry from a range of different poets, musicians, and editors. And I hope you can come along, support, and be inspired. I'll put the link in the description there in a moment. Thank you very much. So yeah, I was Joseph Sweeney was one of the first poets that stood out to me in Vale that really just supported myself and many others in this here at Vale, excuse me. And so I kind of wrote this triggered by it, and yeah, I just hope it's a nice send-off. And so you built a ship of seashells to go to lift anchor and fly on, and take with you the moon, half a dozen poetry books, 100 photographs and memories. You appeared in so many, the good times, the odd. Farewell for now, a friend. We'll miss you like the skin needs the touch of clay, the smell of salt on the shore, the soles my feet needed to sink into wet sand when you let go after a good shake hand. Go on, Voyager, create an odyssey on your spiring snail shell spacecraft, onward towards a journey without an end. Power your engines with poetry and song, so the art hisses out from the exhaust fan. Be part of the stars, the horizon above, so we know you're out there, so we know you're okay. Yet the tears we want to cast will never will spill the oceans, let alone fill the expanse of space. Yeah, thank you very much for listening, and hope you have a good night.
Thank you, Philip. And that was a lovely tribute to Joe. Next on the open mic is Augustina. It says Augustina maybe.
Yeah, it's always a maybe because I never know if I really want to do it. Okay. Let me take a breath. 1 second. This one is called Fear Share. My intimacy fears would have me avoiding the difficult conversations with those who I love. Fear that they might abandon me or throw me to the side. The idea that perhaps one day they will wake up and think, it's just too much. There's too much damage. I value my peace. I can do better. I'm exhausted. I can't keep up. But this stops me from being my authentic self. Those who I love don't get to experience the best parts of me, to really know me as a person, flaws and all. They don't get to see my true colors. They may forever think that they knew me, but really it's just a small part, and it would only be an idea that they came up with. So when I love someone and there is conflict, I find that I fawn. I will avoid. I will change topic. I will make excuses. I will cancel them before they get the chance. I will not take their calls, or I will not open their messages until I have courage. I may cross the road when I see them, or avoid my favorite coffee spot at certain times if I know that they might be there. It takes work to undo this programming, to get comfortable with discomfort, to know that growing pains are necessary, that I must stretch, I must crack, I must wash all this paint away. I think I'm doing better. What a thing it is to be seen with X-ray vision, though. To allow yourself to fall and get that dress messy. To pick up the dirt in your messy dress. To wash the dress by hand. To wait for the sun to dry it. To be able to say, I fucked up. I am wrong. I'm sorry. I didn't intend that. Here's what I actually meant. To be able to express true emotion without fear of judgment. To be unapologetic about who you are. To feel pride in oneself for being able to get to the point that I could somewhat have a sense of accountability when I rarely saw it around. It's expensive and rare, accountability, I mean. You are safe and secure. I heard this. 1 hour into listening, his bravery, my patience, sincerity, and uncomfortable silence. No rush to find words, take them as they come. No solutions or interjections. Stern, safe, and secure. My nakedness rolling from my eyes, baptizing me and spilling all over the floor. But I reflect on all the times and the people, especially those who I love, but definitely couldn't testify to safety and security, being safe and secure. It's a mighty thing to be witnessed. That's all.
Thank you, Augustina. You have a wonderful, natural way of, conversational way of reading. It's brilliant. Next up to the open mic is Mags Creedon.
Copy that. Right. I'll keep it short and sweet. I have to say, firstly, Theo, gosh, I just adore the documentary, The Book of Ireland. It's just a pure feast for the eye, and the work that you put in over all those years, Cógardas. And also for Joe, he was a dear friend in the ways we were. He kind of was with us, myself and Colm, in the Bishopstown Writers, and he stewarded the group and was a very good editor to draw. And I used to sketch him a lot, and no portrait was ever wonderful enough for his flyleaf. So he'd asked me to illustrate his short story there, and I was very honoured. And we knew the short story, and I had submitted 3 or 4, and he was going to pitch the sketch, and he thought that I might illustrate some of them. So I kind of just really enjoyed his love of art and his love of music. And I was going to do something else tonight, but I used to talk to him about Gustav Klimt and Beckett and people like that. So I'll just do one that I hope that I could keep to myself. This one is for the picture, The Kiss. Gasping golden to time keys, I see this first kiss, face grasped, twisted to your lips. In the astral view as we lie spent, Byzantine threads glint, tales and floral beds mosaic. Through the astral view we gripped the toe-clawed precipice, intrinsic hammer necklocked. Stay and live this mortal love, succumb to this call. Be brave, for you and I are clean. Poppies and germander speed well, you sip where peaches dwell. I sink, Auburn where ravens dwell. Taste sweet berries of the night, pure fruit, fresh delight. Breathe in this easy kiss of life. Breathe in this easy kiss of life. Ruta orga tuacharama, Kimon Kate Boksha, I gaffa, Castele the viola. 3 iron narelt in Arlie Cotter, Snana Byzanti Sirsha, Oris Blana Mosaic. 3 Arkan Sea Grima, Erim on the hollow, the love a harm of Winnow. Van Marfach Aron Seilchan Bosch, Dam Gale Dan Chalice, Be Kroga Tam Gilish Dan Hush,
Tishoga Falam, Titam Roa, Quick Fanny Real Las Kera Milshana Hiha, Tarian Evasor, Oges Gano Hansel Dunsha. Ogis gano hantel dung sha
Okay, do you know what?
Thank you very much, Mags. It was beautiful.
That's Joe loved the Gustav Klimt as well. We used to talk about him. So farewell anyway, Joe, and thanks for all the help.
Thank you, Mags. Next on the open mic, we have Kieran McCartan.
Hi, how's it going? Yeah, just to follow on to all those beautiful tributes to Joe. Thanks a lot, Mags, and thanks a lot, Michelle and Phil and everyone else who paid tribute to him. He was he's a sore loss. What a cracking character and a big part of this community. He very good man for giving you I suppose, yeah, he's brought so much humor to that room, you know, and had a real pure love of writing and of the O'Vale community. And I kind of always remember him sort of giving a lot of wouldn't be afraid to give you feedback, you know, wouldn't be afraid to let some subtle and some not so subtle. And he used to often come over to me after I'd said a poem and be, Kieran, that was very serious, you know, and Kieran, you really must lighten up. And so to that end, I think this poem is probably a little bit more playful than maybe things I'd usually write, and that is definitely influenced by Joe. So I'll dedicate this performance of the poem to him, and it's called Twisted Tongue. I'm not a pleasant fucker, I'm the pleasant fucker's son, and I'm going undercover as a motherfucking nun, kicking my bad habits and sucking off your scum. It's not that I'm an addict, I just do it because it's fun. I'd be just as glad if the ending never comes. A staple in your sadness like a nail in a gun. I'm practicing for madness, seems I'm not the only one. I pretend to be passive, but my silence weighs a ton. Pass me when I'm laughing and catch me when I'm done. Give me my cue for passion, take a lash from my tongue. Shorted on my ration of fresh air in my lungs, and I can't cough or gasp and couldn't hide, so wouldn't run. Call me Betty on the bread and butter with a bitter taste in my mouth. I was trying to keep it in the cupboard, but it must have been left out. To mention would bring tension, so instead I'll sit and pout. I am deafened by your whispers, but can hardly hear your shouts. A white elephant in a white room is easy not to talk about. All this time spent in costume has got my sense of style in doubt. Get me in my birthday suit and then kick me off the casting couch. I only wanted the pursuit and to think that I was thought about. You only want me for my youth and to give you things you've been without. I have a twisted tongue and sweet tooth, and to my vices I'm devout. Peter's in a pickle, now he's putting pepper in his pipe. His brain's a little brittle and his eyes can only open tight. His friends are acting fickle and his enemies are acting nice. And even though his skin is thick, he's sick of all the talk they shite. Sometimes he's sure they're full of it, others he wonders, are they right? He overdoes it when he's under, goes wandering the streets at night. He's always had a hunger, but of late has seemed to have lost his bite. and there's nothing I can conjure that would meet his appetite, for I'm the cook too many in the kitchen spoiling broths, and I put all the fixings into the boiling pot and wait for it to thicken like a slow burning plot, and I will keep on mixing until the penny drops. Thanks a lot.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kieran.
Thanks, Owen.
And next we have Catherine.
Great evening, everyone. Thanks, everyone. My poem is called Harbour Master. Harbour Master of souls, hoarder of hearts, where did you take my queen in silent ransom? You've left a pillowcase, billowing changeling in her velvet sweet place. Slashes of blue-purple tear the palace, songs of acid rip cushions. We fail with the strongest prayer, fragrant lavender amulet, silver ropes. Harbour master of souls, hoarder of hearts, cast your guile, sail her back safely. We wait on the rocks.
Thank you, Catherine. And next on the open mic is Sue Blue.
Hi, thanks very much. I chose a poem that we wrote as part of the Blue Mondays, and it was based on a silent conversation that we had in the room, that is writing words onto a piece of paper. And the theme was the sea. So here we go. I'm bringing the Harbour Festival back in. Sea. Stretching my eyes into the far, the cliff view puts me in place. High and wide I feel, small and belonging. The beach below is filled with spades and buckets, kids mooting sand castles and jumping across the river run. Sailing seagulls play the winds, gleaming white against aquamarine, as siren songs meld with the cries of birds. I like the tall tales where the ghosts of Bermuda ride the surf on merchant ships, leaving our eyes filled with unfathomable terror. Howling gusts of chaos whiff across the ocean's surface, waking the mystery of shipwrecks on the bottom by the reef. From the birthplace of life, ruthless mother who gives and takes, to the vastness of the divine and the infinite movement of the tides, I stretch my eyes and stand in awe, and deep I breathe the power and the peace of the sea. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Sue. Brilliant. And next on the open mic is Ruth.
Hi, I've a short and sweet little thing. It's not so deep. It's called Dawn Raid. Pitter patter, the rain. Two princes raid dawn. Whole crusades in noisy stealth. Giggle whisper gameplay. Storm my morning bed and snoozing giants faint snores. Peels and squeals and raspberry kisses on fleshy cheeks and bellies that jitter jingle under quilted canopies. Little feet march up thighs and fingers comb hair, plaiting and matting, and curious sleepy heads are held as elbows dig deep in mattresses, fantastic ramblings, reimagined dreams, whole body stretch satisfaction, yawns that swallow the moon, belch out our sunrise.
Thank you, Ruth. And next on the open mic is Cedric.
This one is titled Introvert. Sleep burrowed away, protected from the world and its scorching luminance. Sleep, enjoy the warranted rest from foraging for a connection. You will find another of your kin next season. Store your heart, protect yourself from the cold. Slip away, slide back into your mindscape. Dream across the collective subconscious until the next spring, an opportunity to find your fold. Sleep, you're breathing so low, one believes you might be dead inside. Only if one knew you only try not to burn out in one blow. That's something you really need to share. Sleep away the bad weathers. Just don't forget to wake for a stretch and a walk. Leave a footprint in the snow. For who might care? Sleep.
Thank you very much, Cedric. We've actually come to the end of names on the open mic list, but if anyone would like to read and hasn't put their name into the chat, I welcome them to read now if they want to. That might be everyone who wants to read. So just thank you all very much. Thank you to everyone on the open mic. Thank you to Theo for a brilliant reading. Thank you to Lang for a wonderful reading as well. And yeah, it's just been a brilliant night. So thank you all. And wonderful to hear the tributes to Joe as well. I think the live stream is going to end, and then I think we will continue in an unofficial capacity to a kind of main style end chat. So feel free to unmute